Welcome back to another episode of Drivers4Drivers. I'm Burt Reynolds, and I've been eastbound and down.
That's right.
Kenny's off sleeping in a sleeping bag.
That's right.
We've got Francis Hamm.
Hi.
Behind the scenes, we've got Arnell.
Hello.
And we are...
Drivers4Drivers.
I didn't do it. I got you. Drivers4Drivers. Yeah, there. Sorry, I'm a little slow. Still recovering from... I flew out to North Carolina.
Right on.
We had a truck out there that needed a rescue. Hopped in there, cleaned it up a little bit. Picked up some chicken and took it to Missouri.
All right.
Was able to get down there, saw the Carthage yard. We'll have an update on that here shortly. And then move some trucks around. Spent a day there. It was a good time. Talked to a couple of drivers down there, and then boogied on up to Ogden.
I knew when you were moving trailers out there, I actually got a phone call.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. Somebody's out there stealing your trailers.
Oh, perfect. Well, that's good. Was able to get some footsteps in because where we had them parked and where we moving them to, you know, 0.7 miles one way. And I was like, you know what? I need to hydrate. It was hot, but I need to get some exercise. Let's walk it.
Yeah.
So I did. I had two trucks that needed to be moved. So I walked it, moved a truck, walked it, moved a truck, and then I think I had to walk it again to go back to get my truck.
Right on.
But yeah, it was a good time. It was nice to get back out on the road and put some miles down. I averaged between 600 and 700 miles a day, so I was booking. I wasn't fiddle farting around.
Mm-hmm.
That was 9.5 hour days, so I maximized. I don't have to worry about recaps or anything like that, so I could do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Listen to a couple audiobooks.
Good.
Listen to Silence. I forgot how rough those roads are.
For sure.
My back is still a little sore.
Yeah.
But what do you guys do out there to keep your mind moving? I had quit smoking May 24th and haven't had a cigarette since then.
Great job.
But the road trip, it was rough. It was super hard. There was I can remember 3 times at least where I was like, I need to do something. I want a cigarette really, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't. I had my Tootsie Pops. I had my water. And then I had some pumpkin seeds. And I do those because the sunflower seeds, after a while, start tearing up my mouth. Mm-hmm. So the pumpkin seeds are a little bit nicer. So I did all of that, and then, yeah, I didn't smoke. But, boy, howdy, I tell you, I wanted to come a couple times.
Yeah. You know, and I'm glad I quit smoking, and I've quit smoking. It's been, 8 years now. But I remember 80 cents a pack. I'd go in and 80 cents, get you a pack of cigarettes, less than $1. And when we were gone into a truck stop, it wasn't that long ago on this trip that we were out, and they were advertising cigarettes for like $10.72 a pack or something. It was like, whoa! I wouldn't even have thought they had gone that high. It's like a credible amount of money.
I was spending $200 to $300 a month.
Wow,
cigarettes, ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's it. Well, that's great. I'm glad to hear that you quit it and you're still fighting it. I get it, but hey, you'll get it.
I think I've got it licked now.
Yeah,
I think I won't have an issue. I should probably have a celebratory cigarette for quit. I think that's probably the wrong thing to do.
That's right. That's right. I'd be leading it right down the path. For sure. So how was your trip though? What did you see out there on the roads, running the roads yourself that maybe you had forgot about or you haven't dealt with in a while that just triggered something in your mind?
So there was a few instances. I mean, like the scenery through Tennessee and Kentucky was absolutely beautiful. It was super green. It wasn't smoky because right now we're dealing with wildfires on this side of the continent. I put a thing on the Facebook drivers page. Just make sure that you're prepared if you've got a bug out. Make sure you've got water. Make sure you know the routes and alternate routes if you're in those areas that are on fire, because at any moment that could change. So that was one thing I did miss about being like in my own truck, because in my own truck I would have all this stuff, right?
Sure.
be able to take care of myself if the truck breaks down. Like if I had a dog with me, I always had, a spare few $100, off to the side. So that way, if I had to spend a night in a hotel or something like that, like I could find the hotel and be able to pay for that room. So my dog and I would be able to have somewhere to stay that night instead of being, not having that money set aside and not being able to have somewhere to sleep because I have my dog with me.
Sure,
right?
sure.
Because that's an extension of you.
Mm-hmm,
Right?
mm-hmm.
So I miss having that kind of stuff. And so that was like, what can I, next time I go and do this, I pack really light. I try not to take a whole bunch of stuff, but what are like necessities will I need there to get me to the next, safe spot or something like that if something was to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a rain jacket. I didn't have an extra pair of shoes. I didn't have like these things. And so that part of me was a little had a little bit of anxiety about that. Some of the other stuff was trying to remember the routes, what places not to go. Because I use simple Google Maps as my navigation. But knowing that, I've got to pre-plan my route before I hit go on there, so I know like I can't go down this road because of weight restrictions or bridge restrictions or height restrictions, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would pre-plan those routes, and there was one spot where I think it was Kentucky up in Illinois, and then down in Missouri a little bit. So I think it was maybe it was Tennessee. No, Kentucky. Got into Illinois, and the roads just went whoop, really, really, really narrow.
Mm-hmm.
2-lane. There was no shoulder. The shoulder was really soft, and like I'm taking up. I mean, the lane was only 8.5, maybe 9 feet. So
Yeah.
like no room for error. And I'm sitting there going, okay, this is scary. I figured if another truck came down there, we were smashing, windows or mirrors. So I was, super nervous about that. And then, I was on a road that I could be on. It was a truck route. It was just super narrow. And then we went up this bridge and then, came to this little town. But I forgot about how narrow the roads could be.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Wisconsin could be really bad that way. And so was Missouri. I remember Missouri roads being that way too.
And this year, it throws other things into it as well. You're going through those roads on your route that you're looking at, but you got flooding, you've got fires, you've got storms, you've got all kinds of stuff, accidents that shut the roads down. Now they're detouring trucks around. And what are these guys getting into, when they're leaving the main roadway where they're at and having to do a detour,
Yep.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I felt pretty lucky about this trip, about this round, because both shippers were super easy in and out. The receiver there in Ogden, I did have to go across lanes of traffic and back into a covered dock, so you couldn't really see where the dock was at. You saw the green blinking light, and I didn't have a good enough flashlight with me to put where on the bottom to show me the line where I could line up against.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to do it, and it was narrow. So I was like, let's hope I don't break anything, because that's the last thing I need, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the last thing any of us need. But
Sure.
I did get out. I looked. I hopped back in. I'd made some adjustments. I got back out. I ran back and I looked again, and then was able to get in there. I would have got in and out and gold, GOAL, 700 times if I needed to. It's not, to me, it's not worth, bumping into the other guy next to me or scraping that brick wall.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
About safety at that point. It's been a while since I've slept with the reefer on. It took me a little while so I was a little drowsy the first day, but
I'm sure, man.
I got home and I'm like, man, I wish I had a reefer on.
Yeah.
And so like Arnell's looking at us like, what are you talking about, right? And so what if you've been in the truck for a while, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you've got the reefer going, it becomes this background noise. It's like being home and having a fan on.
Yeah,
right?
it kind of sounds like one of those noise machines that people fall asleep onto. What is it called? Background noise, or
Right.
Some people fall asleep on that static stuff, like shh. Like, how's this possible?
Noise. Yeah, you got
But-
white noise,
but-
black noise.
Yeah, people love that. Apparently, that puts you to sleep or something. I tried it once, but just didn't. I was like, this is too no go for me on this. It's like, but I do remember when I was younger, you would wake up and the TV's still running, or you would have to have the TV on before, and then you just fall asleep to the TV or something like that. But I feel like after a while driving a reefer, you would probably get used to that noise, and that probably puts you to sleep, is my guess.
It is exactly 100%. You get used to it. You get used to the vibrations. You get used to sleeping, a little bit tilted this way, or a little bit tilted that way, or maybe your feet's a little bit elevated, maybe your head's a little bit elevated. You get used to all of this stuff. And then you get home and it's quiet. Your bed's not vibrating. You don't have this big, reefer going right behind you. So it took me another day to reacclimate to, being home to do that. And I'm wondering if you guys out there, deal with that same thing. When you're out on the road, does it take you a day or two to acclimate to the noise? And then when you come back on the road, and then when you come home, does it take you a day or two to acclimate?
Sure.
So let us know. Put it down in the comments.
You might almost want to make a product where you sell some kind of reefer noise. $9.99, get a reefer noise machine, and truckers might love it. I'm gonna try to make that, you guys.
Yeah.
Came back. I talked to Art. I was watched y'all's podcast, and it was this great information about keeping your lane. I did notice that a lot after watching that, and then going down the road watching other drivers. And it wasn't just truck drivers. I mean, it was passenger cars. Everybody on the
for sure,
maintaining your lane, and everybody was just doing like this. Mm-hmm. I would say more often than not, when I'm driving by these guys, whether it's a car or truck, they're on their phone, and it's just not good.
No, it's not worth it. Not at all.
That split second. So I get back, and I was talking to Art, and it kind of goes along this whole same lines, is that he was, and I guess this is the importance of if you see somebody parked on the side of the road, right? You want to move over. In a lot of states, it's a law that if it's law enforcement or something like that you move over and slow down, or move over or slow down. So you need to slow way down. So Art's coming down, and then he sees this, and he's like, "Oh man, I got to get over." And he gets over, and it wasn't 2 seconds after he gets over, the guy had fallen into his lane that he would have been in, and had Art stayed in that lane, we would be having a different story.
Yeah.
So just keep your eyes up, maintain 13 seconds or more as far as you can see, and looking at everything that's going on down the road. So
yeah, and if you're in the right lane and you do see something up ahead in the service lane there, don't wait to the last minute. Move over. Get over a little bit early if you can. There's a tendency, people trying to cut you off or whatever in that hammer lane won't let you over for that. So yeah, for sure. Sooner you can move over, the better off you are.
Absolutely. That was kind of a safety topic, but what is our safety topic today?
There's a couple things that we can go over. One of them, I want to talk a little bit about reefers, running the reefers. And then not only running them, but checking in with receivers. Maybe when you're pulling out of the door and you close up that trailer, is the reefer unit running at that point? Is it not running at that point? What did the shipper require? You are responsible for that load. When it's on your trailer, it's your load. Make sure that we're doing everything possible to protect that product. We did have an incident where one of our teammates here, one of our professional drivers, made it to a receiver, and it went both ways. They checked in with the receiver. The first story is the receiver told them to go ahead and turn the reefer unit off and back it into the door, and that's what happened. Turn the reefer unit off and backed it into the door. We have tracking. We can see that is exactly what happened. And then at that point, they came out and said, "Whoa! Now the product is hot," and they rejected the entire load. So that's a real problem. validate, make sure, ask twice. You know, if you're checking in with the receiver and you have a frozen load or you have a refrigerated load and they say, hey, turn the unit off, I would definitely stop right there and just say, hey, you want me to turn the unit off, back into the door and turn the reefer off? You know, get another clarification that that's what they say before you do that. You know, you can't have them sign a piece of paper or anything. They won't do that. But if you ask twice just to make sure, at least we'll have something to stand on, you know.
I might even ask for their name.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But that's, I mean, it's a whole load of product, you know. That's that can make for a great big claim and ruin somebody's day. So definitely want to do that for sure.
It's interesting you said that because when I delivered there in Ogden, they had me turn off the reefer. It was -10, right? And so like the product's not going to just like almost, you know, start melting right then. But I hadn't thought of that. You know, he's a very nice feller, you know, asked me to turn it off, you know, and back in.
Yeah. And, you know, there's products out there that you haul, especially coming out of, you know, like a pork plant or a chicken plant or wherever where it's a fresh product. And you're basically waiting for it to come off the line, you know, and at times it's a fresh slaughter, so it's not getting to temperature real fast.
Yeah.
And they'll combo pack it or something like that. And then, so it's already not exactly the coldest product. And you put it into that trailer and you crank the unit. That unit is not designed to cool product. It's designed to maintain a temperature, you know. So if it goes in a little warm, chances are it's going to get delivered a little warm, especially if there's stacked boxes or something like that. It's just not going to cool it down.
It's going to just sit there, and you're going to go through fuel, and you're going to, it's just going to, it's just, it's the nature of the beast.
Yep. No, that's right. That's why it's so important on both sides to make sure that we're doing exactly what they're asking us to do. And in the event there's an issue there, provided we've done exactly what we said, we've got grounds to stand on.
Absolutely.
You know, so just protect yourself, protect the product. Yep, for sure.
I dig it. Arnell, you got closing thoughts?
Yeah. I was kind of curious. How does the reefer unit, you know, like actually run? Does it have two motors, one motor? How does that work for somebody that doesn't really understand how the reefer units work? Can you guys tell me about that?
Sure. Well, there are multiple different kinds of setups. We typically run a diesel engine that's running a compressor to drive the reefer unit itself, to run the cooling part of it, or even temperature protect. It could be blowing warm air in the event it's, you know, 10 degrees below zero and you have to maintain a fresh load, and then you're going to get a warm air, you know, that's going to go in there. Some reefers are set up with electric power to where they can run off of electric. So you can plug them in and they'll just run that way as well. But that's how it operates. Ours run off of diesel fuel, and you can have them continuous run to where the unit never stops. It just keeps running all the time, and then it just kicks in and cools when it needs to or heats when it needs to, but it never stops. Or you can put it on auto start stop, and then it'll run until it gets to temp, and then it'll shut down until it has a demand for either cold or heat, and it'll start back up and run again. So there are shippers that require continuous run. There are shippers that don't care as long as the temperature is right and the range, you know, when they run. And then there's always that chance where you may have reefer unit issues when you're traveling on the road. You know, either a reefer quits running, or if, let's say, it runs out of fuel, now you got to get it started again. And a lot of times you have to prime the lines and everything else to get that done. You know, the old school way, I remember, I think you probably remember some of this, where they take a cap, you know, off the fuel tank and put a tire stem in there, and you air it up and force the diesel fuel down through the lines.
Oh, I've never done that.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. I never thought about that.
Yeah, I remember they used to do that stuff back in the old days.
Our reefers now, you open up the barn doors and you got a little cap you undo, and you can just sit there and it's got a little stroke, and you chat until it gets
Get the fuel up.
Yep. Well, that'll get really, really tight, and you screw it down, and then you start it again, and then it'll sputter, and then you got to do that about 4,000 times, and then it's primed, and then you're good to go, and it'll start up and you're good. But yeah, don't run out of fuel.
That's right.
You know, worry
That's
about
right.
that.
Yeah, or you know, if you do have a problem, that's why it's so important that you keep monitoring that reefer. You know, and every time you get out, you should lay eyes on that reefer, especially if you have a load on it. You know, whether it's a bathroom break or you're pulling into some place that maybe a port of entry or a truck stop to take on fuel or grabbing a bite to eat, whatever it is, get out there and lay some eyes on that. Make sure it's cycling right. Make sure the temperature's right. And if there's a problem, deal with it accordingly. You know, if let's say the unit's not running and you can't get it started, we need to find a service facility to get that thing into. You know, hopefully it's something that they can repair and get you back on the road. Sometimes it's just a dead battery or something and it just won't run. You know, everything's electronic nowadays. They can put a battery in it and away you go. Worst case scenario, let's say it lost the compressor or something like that. Then it may be a cross-dock situation. We may have to get you into a cold storage place or something, get it unloaded, get it onto another trailer and get it going again. But just make sure you take care of that product. You know, that's probably the most important at that point. Nobody wants a big claim. You know, you got 40,000 pounds of product back there that could be $8 a pound.
Ooh.
You know, so
Not cheap.
Yeah, you want to take care of that. Make sure you don't get yourself into a problem there. You know, so yeah, always monitor that.
Good to know. Yeah, and how long do those usually run? Like if you the reefers, like because they're independent, right?
So I mean, like they'll run it. I think we've got 50-gallon tanks on them.
Oh, okay. So it's a while. Huh?
Yeah, they'll run a few days.
Yeah.
You know, continue. Like if it's Arizona, it's 120 degrees out. You're trying to keep it at negative 10 degrees. Like you'll get a day and 2 days out of it. You know, because it's working really, really hard. Maybe 3 days out of it.
Just keep an eye on the fuel, huh?
Yep.
Yeah. And you know, there's times that we ourselves are looking at loads too, and we have to make a decision if we can haul those loads or not. You know, you may have be working with a broker or something. They may offer you a load, and it could be, let's say, an ice cream load where you want to run it at negative 20, right? And maybe you're loading that in Phoenix, and it's 130 degrees outside, and you got to run negative 20, and you got to keep that ice cream, you know, pretty stout. And can you do it? That's the thing. And are you taking a chance? And sometimes we may look at that and say, you know, I don't think we can do that, you know, and just you may have to pass on that load.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Closing thoughts?
You know, you were talking about the drivers that you were seeing on the roads, you know, and people with a phone in their hand. Don't take a chance. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. You know, that split second that something can happen could affect the rest of your life. So just don't do it. Nobody wants to hurt anybody, that's for sure. Maintain the lane, you know. I will tell you, I talked on the last podcast about lane departures and people not maintaining a lane. I took another trip. We just ran a real rocket trip over the weekend at 1,200 miles on Saturday and Sunday. Got back to the house, and I did pay attention to what was going on, and I seen more of the same people departing the lane. It gets kind of spooky when you're passing people, and you don't know if they're seeing you there or not. I noticed probably 4 Giltner units. 2 of them were going the other way. 2 of them were going the same way I was. And I passed both of them. And the pride in seeing the Giltner trucks on the road, and I will tell you, if I seen them depart the lane, I'd tell you. But they never did. They were maintaining the right lane. They were doing exactly what they need to do. I want to thank our professional drivers for what you do. You deal with what I see on my trip every single day, and you do a great job. You know, we're not hearing of side swipes and everything else, but when you see some, and I'm talking just trucks, there's cars that do the same thing too. But when you see a truck that leaves completely out of the right lane to where the duals and everything are past the fog line, it makes you wonder what's going on, you know, what's going on in that unit. And I know our drivers see it every day. You deal with it. You do a great job. I thank you very much for everything that you do, keeping it safe out there. It's a lot of work. So I appreciate it. You know, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you and what you do every day. So thanks. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Thanks for making the better move. We'll see you next time.
Right.